Hey there, Soulshines, it's Michelle here, and because I don't have any finished objects for Friday, I thought I would do Frog Friday. I'll talk about it in a second. Trying out my ring light on my phone today, just what I have available right now. And storage low, tap to manage. Yeah, which is why I don't use my phone very often. So, Frog Friday. I mentioned in a previous video about coming up with an acronym for frog. And Shannon of Another Yarn actually kind of gave some ideas and it just got me thinking. So here's my acronym. Finally, no, not finally. Sorry. That was facing reality on goals. That is mine. Facing reality on goals. Now, here's kind of the idea behind it. If you are working along in a project and you have to undo a row or two, super easy in crochet compared to knitting, unless you have really catchy yarn. You're just facing the reality that if you keep going the way you are, you're not going to achieve the goal or the outcome of the thing that you want to make. So you undo it back to where you need to in order to start again. If you don't know, frog kind of comes from the idea of rip it, rip it. You rip it out, and it sounds like ribbit, but it's rip it out, rip it out. Okay, so frog also means you can frog a whole project. So, like, I had a blanket I was making my daughter. I faced reality on that goal. I faced reality on goals. And the reality was I was never going to finish that blanket. Talked to my daughter about it. We scrapped it. We frogged it. We, you know, sometimes you reclaim the yarn when you frog it. Sometimes you don't. I passed what had been done on to somebody else as like, so they could have like a shawl instead of an actual blanket because it was a mile a minute. So it was kind of, it was kind of a little bit wide and so it made an okay shawl. Not a great shawl, but it was fair. Somebody's grateful for it, I'm sure. And, but sometimes I actually reclaim the yarn. So I faced reality on goals. I face reality on goals in my projects when I'm like, oh crud, I dropped a stitch in my knitting. Sometimes I can go back and use the crochet hook to pick it up, and sometimes I have to go back. Or I really mess up and I have to start all the way over. That's facing reality on goals. And to me, that's what frogging means. So that's my new acronym. You're welcome to borrow it, use it, pass it along. I don't need credit. Um, that's what I come up with, facing reality on goals. So for Frog Friday, in the future, when I don't have finished objects to show on Friday, I think what I'm going to do is actually take time on that for this video to come and pull out one of my projects that I already know that I'm reclaiming. I went through all of my projects in the beginning, and in the beginning of the year, like end of year, beginning of year, like, how we all kind of reevaluate everything. I did that for my yarn projects, and I actually have on my list of project goals, some of those are to reclaim the yarn. Be like, I'm not going to do that project anymore, reclaim the yarn. So I'm going to use Fridays that I don't have finished objects to reclaim some yarn. Reclaim was one of the words that Shannon used, and I liked that word. But I was having a hard time fitting it in with frog for other things because it does have two meanings. It does mean frogging a whole project. Another thing I could do is go through all my lists of 40 billion things I would love to make and face reality on my goals. Am I actually ever going to make that project? Why do I even have it in my list? Maybe I do want to actually do it and I just need to buy the pattern or I need to buy the yarn. And that could be the reality that I face. And then it's not quite frogging, but it still kind of is because I'm facing reality about it. And it's like, well, no, let's move that into a whip. And so I think that's kind of also helpful. I think it's really helpful. We have a lot of if we have a list of things that we actually want to make, they're called to us. Silent to-do list. That is what it's called in the cleaning world. Possibly other worlds. I believe that it was a business person that wrote about that, but it's a silent to-do list. That stuff's calling me saying, you haven't worked on me. Are you going to work on me? And when we face reality on those goals, then we say, you know what, actually, I'm never going to work on you, so you're gone. And when you make that choice, the silence, you've silenced it. It no longer is, nagging at you. So, I like that. I like this idea of just really face reality on goals. I thought about renaming Frog as FRAWG and then wrong goals or something like that. But I don't think that's right either. So I'm just saying on goals. Face reality on goals. Remember, guys, to let your light shine through your creations. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.